What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca and I am going to be doing a Q&A today, answering all of your questions about our most recent trip to Walt Disney World. My daughter and I stayed at the Wilderness Lodge. We got to do the Christmas party for the first time. We seriously had the most incredible trip. So I have a bunch of questions that you guys submitted over on Instagram. So if you are not following me over there, head over and check it out. I'll have my Instagram handle linked down below. But you guys asked a ton of questions about Wilderness Lodge, taking a toddler or preschooler to Disney as a solo mom, all about the Christmas party. So we've got a lot to talk about. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, the first question, which is faster, bus or boat to and from Magic Kingdom and Wilderness Lodge? So it really depends. You have both options. So the bus is about a 5-minute ride to Magic Kingdom and the boat can be about a 10 or 15-minute ride. But you also have to take into consideration the time that you'll wait for whichever transportation you decide to go with. So in the end, it really could take the same amount of time. You could walk up to the boat as it's arriving and walk right on, or you could go outside and wait 20 minutes for the Magic Kingdom bus to pull up, or vice versa. You could, walk right out to the bus and it pulls right up and you hop right on. So it really just depends. I would say in the end, it's all kind of a wash and you'll make it to Magic Kingdom, I would say, within 20 to 30 minutes, no matter which form of transportation you go with. Personally, I love the boat. I think it's part of the experience. Now, I will say if it's pouring down rain, we will not do the boat. I don't even know if they run the boat when it's like heavy raining, so the bus will be your best bet. But I love doing the bus when it's raining because everything is nice and covered out there and you don't have to walk outside. So that's kind of the difference between the Magic Kingdom transportation options at Wilderness Lodge. All right, we're gonna jump right into a spicy one here. Does this past trip and the ease of it make you feel not so burnt out with Disney anymore? So I mentioned in a vlog over the summer that I was starting to feel a little burnt out with how often we were going to Disney and just the pace we were doing these trips and how much I was vlogging and just the pressure that I was putting on myself with getting all of this content for you guys. Although I love it and it's so fun, and again, I can't even believe that this is my job and that I can earn an income doing this. Like, that just blows my mind. But on this past trip, I really scaled back and just took the pressure off of myself. I did 3 videos from this trip. I did a room tour, our Christmas party vlog, and 1 vlog of our entire trip. And that was it. And that felt really refreshing. After so many trips feeling like I had to do as many videos each day, as much as possible, and just get as much content as I could and come home with a ton of videos, I think that was contributing to me feeling so burnt out with going. I think this past trip, because I took a lot of that pressure off and just decided to enjoy being there, and I still got to vlog and I still got to share the trip, but in a way that felt a little more relaxed. And I think no matter what your job is, whatever you do, I think it's really easy to feel burnout when you're going 100 miles an hour. And then all it takes is scaling back for, however much time you need, and you can step back into it and feel a little more refreshed. Like, okay, I'm ready to go again. This is really fun. I do really love this and enjoy it. I just needed a couple weeks or a month or whatever it is to kind of press pause on that thing. So I feel that. I do feel refreshed and not as burnt out as I was feeling over the summer. I did come home and book another Disney trip. So if that tells you how I'm feeling, it was a lot of fun and it went really well. And I think just scaling back on the content on this trip specifically really, really helped. So I'm already starting to map out content for my next trip, which I'm very excited about. And it'll be a little bit more than this past trip, but I think for November, for this Christmas trip, I think it was exactly what it needed to be. Okay, next question. Christmas party, best place to watch the parade with a toddler, what time to line up for the parade? So there's a couple different options, but I'm just gonna share my experience. So this is what we did because this was our very first Christmas party experience ever. I wanted to watch the parade from Main Street. I know a lot of people will recommend Frontierland and that it can be a little less crowded back there, but I just wanted the full experience. I wanted the snow on Main Street and just the lights, and it's just extra magical on Main Street. So as soon as the fireworks were done around 10:20, we immediately started working our way up Main Street, like I guess back Main Street, like towards the front entrance, like as if we were leaving the park. And already on the sidewalks, it was already full. So I'm just scanning from left to right, looking for an open spot, and we're just walking up with the crowd up Main Street. And then the further back I got, the more open spots I saw. So it actually was kind of the ideal location because to my left, we could see the Christmas tree. So you have the parade coming down Main Street, and then you see the Christmas tree in the background. And then I would look to my right as the parade's coming, and you have the beautiful castle in the back. So I really think it was the best location, kind of that middle to front of, I'm getting my front and back mixed up. I don't know what's the front and the back of Main Street, but you get what I'm saying. So kind of in that middle area of Main Street, that was where we kind of camped out. So we found our spot at, I remember time stamping it at 10:22, and we sat there until about 11:15, because even though that last parade does start at 11 p.m., it takes a while for the parade to get to you down Main Street. So we sat there for about 55 minutes, which I was nervous about because I don't typically camp out and wait for shows and parades and fireworks with my 3-year-old. But I packed a towel for us to sit on. I had a backpack full of snacks and activities. I had all of the Christmas party cookies like stored under the basket of our stroller, and we were ready to go. So I was prepared for that 45-minute camp out time slot. And you definitely have to camp out there for about 45 minutes if you want that Main Street spot. I do think it's worth it. Again, that's just my experience. If we had just rolled up to the parade at 11 p.m., we would have been behind, a couple families on the sidewalk on Main Street, and we just wouldn't have had that ideal, perfect view where it was unobstructed with anyone in our pictures. And, my 3-year-old could sit on the curb and just watch everything go by, and it was just perfect. So anyway, I'm getting long-winded with this answer, but that's what I would say for best parade viewing location and arrival time. How does it feel doing a solo trip? So this was I think my 4th solo mom trip with my daughter. So we've done this a few times now, and I think that plays a huge role, is that I have figured out what works and what doesn't work for us. We definitely have a rhythm, and it feels very normal for me and my daughter to do these trips, just the two of us at this point. The first time I did a solo trip with my daughter was over a year ago. She was 2.5, and I freaked out. I was so anxious about that trip, and I still get a little bit nervous, just travel day jitters. But that first trip that I went solo with her, I was freaking out. I had no idea how it was gonna go, how in the world I could manage our luggage in a stroller and my 2.5-year-old, and getting on our transportation, getting to the resort, like just all of the moving pieces. I was so nervous, and then I did it. And by the end of the day, I was like, oh, I can do this. Like, I am more than capable. I can do this. And so that really gave me the confidence moving forward, where now when I do these solo trips, it's just like, oh, cool, like another trip with my daughter. I love it. So fun. So when we're there, it feels very second nature, but it definitely didn't feel like that in the beginning. If you are considering doing a solo mom trip with your little girl, your little boy, just know if you are feeling anxious, that is perfectly normal. I felt the exact same way, but these trips end up being some of my favorite. It's so fun, and you really get to go at your own pace, and it's all about your little one. So I think that's why I love it so much, and it's a really special bonding time. But yeah, they're some of my favorite trips. What is another deluxe resort you would recommend other than Wilderness Lodge or a moderate resort? Okay, personally, for the deluxe category, I love the Grand Floridian. It is definitely a splurge, but if you can rent Disney Vacation Club points and get a good deal on a studio, I love Grand Floridian. I love the atmosphere. I love how classy it feels. I love the location. I love the dining, everything about it, the kids' splash pad area, the pools. If I could pick one resort to have a pool day at, it would be Grand Floridian, hands down. I love that resort so much. I realized that every family's resort like needs are different. So even though I love the Grand Floridian, that may not mean it's the best fit for every family, but that's my personal favorite just because we're in a season of we spend a lot of time at Magic Kingdom. So having really easy access to the park is a huge priority for us, which is why I love the Grand so much. What is the difference between Copper Creek and Boulder Ridge? So within Wilderness Lodge, there are 2 Disney Vacation Club properties. Within the main building, you have Copper Creek, and then if you go outside, there's this covered walkway as if you are walking to the buses, and if you go straight, there's a second building that's connected, and that is Boulder Ridge. So the rooms look very different, but you basically have 2 different DVC resort options within Wilderness Lodge. So technically, there's 3 different resort booking categories within Wilderness. We stayed at Copper Creek on this trip. We stayed in a studio, and the reason I like Copper Creek is that it is within the main building. So we didn't feel disconnected outside. I do want to stay at Boulder Ridge though. That is definitely on my bucket list. The rooms just got a full refurbishment and they look beautiful. They have that pull down Murphy bed. I'm waiting for Copper Creek to get that Murphy bed update. So if that is a deal breaker for you, you need that Murphy bed and you're like, no to the pull out couch, no thank you, then check out Boulder Ridge because you can rent DVC points and still experience Wilderness Lodge and you get that pull down Murphy bed. So that's the difference. You're still within Wilderness Lodge. It's still the same resort. It's just 2 different buildings and 2 different booking categories. Best place to watch fireworks with a little one and avoid crowd craziness. If you are truly looking to avoid the crowds, then I would watch the fireworks from one of the monorail resorts, either the Grand Floridian or Polynesian. That's going to be your best escape from the crowds with a really spectacular view of the fireworks, and then they pipe in the music and you still get the full experience. Obviously, you can't see the castle projections, you're super far away, but you're not having to deal with the crowds and that crazy mass exodus out of the park as soon as the fireworks are done. If you do want to be in the park for fireworks, my go-to spot is Storybook Circus. I'm telling you, it is empty back there. This is my go-to spot because my 3-year-old can just run and dance and play and the fireworks are just like right on top of you and it's beautiful. Obviously you don't get the castle view, but the fireworks are just right there. And we love that spot. Another perk of being back in Storybook Circus is that you can ride Dumbo during the fireworks. And assuming there's no line for the ride, they'll let you stay on Dumbo and just ride as many times as you like. And then you're up in the air and the fireworks are going. And it's so fun. And your toddler has plenty of room to run and play and dance. And you can hear the music really loud. So I love being back there for the fireworks. Next question, would you do another party? I'm assuming would I do the Christmas party again is what you mean? Absolutely. I would do that party again in a heartbeat. I think it is so fun, especially for little kids. There is so much to do that it was just impossible for us to even come close to doing it all. We would have a totally different experience because there's so much we haven't done yet. So hands down, I would do it again. What is your routine to get out the door at Disney? I actually have a morning routine video that I did at Disney. I'll have that one linked down below. I did it about a year ago. I should do an updated version now that Ellie's a little bit older, but I'll have that linked below. That was a really fun video to film. But basically, my routine in the morning is I don't set an alarm because my daughter will wake me up. Usually around 6:30, 7 a.m. I hear, "Good morning, mommy. Good morning, mommy," just shouting. So that is what I wake up to. And then she'll come climb in my bed and I will get her a yogurt pouch. We'll turn on some kind of cartoon. So we have a really slow start to our morning. It's not like up at the crack of dawn with an alarm, hurry, rush, race, anything like that. We are very chill in the morning. So Ellie will do breakfast. I'll give her some little, like a bag of muffins or, you know, something that she can have to eat first thing in the morning. And I will start getting ready in the bathroom while she is occupied eating breakfast and with cartoons on. As soon as I'm done getting ready, then I get her ready because she just needs a little bit of time. I don't know. And I mean, I can be like that too, where, you know, first thing in the morning, like you need a minute, you know? So Ellie is very much like she needs a minute before she can get going. So after I, you know, put on a little bit of makeup, get dressed, brush my hair, brush my teeth, and that's pretty much it. Then I will get her ready because once she is ready, she believes like, okay, I'm ready, so we need to be walking out the door right now. So if I get her ready too early, then she's like, okay, let's go. And it can just be like, she gets very antsy. So I wait till the last minute to get her ready, put her shoes on. But again, I let her chill and watch cartoons while I get all the things set. So I try to have our backpack kind of restocked the night before. And then I'll pack up her little lunch cooler. I'll make her a sandwich. I'll throw in some snacks, a water bottle, hook that to the stroller, make sure that all of our activities and things are good to go in our backpack. Make sure everything is, you know, repacked in my little mommy bag. And then I'll get her dressed and we walk out the door. So it's pretty easy, like getting her going in the morning just because she's so chill. But when I say that mornings are a breeze, don't be deceived because night is when things are wild. Ellie is so wound up. It is like herding cats to try to get her ready for bed. And she's just so exhausted from the day. So we've got all the emotions and, you know, that's when I feel like I face a little more difficulty. So I wanted to add that in there. So just don't be deceived when I say that, oh, getting out the door is so easy, because night is when it's challenging. Next question, aside from the boat to Magic Kingdom, how was transportation at Copper Creek and Wilderness Lodge? So apart from the boat, you just have bus transportation, which a lot of people view as a downside, but you're really gonna find mostly bus transportation at most of the resorts anyway. So, you know, I wouldn't categorize this any different than other resorts in that sense with the transportation thing. But I never had any trouble with the buses. I think there was one time we were waiting on an Epcot bus and it was over 20 minutes that we waited. But other times we would either walk right up as the bus was pulling up or we waited 5-10 minutes maybe. I feel like we had a really good experience with the buses, and you know, we've stayed there a few times now, and that's been my experience every single time. So yes, you might wait 20 to 30 minutes for a bus every now and then, but you know, I feel like that's gonna be your experience at any resort. That's just kind of how bus transportation at Disney goes. Sometimes you walk right up and the bus is right there, or you just wait 5 minutes and that's amazing. And then other times it's a 30-minute wait. You know, that happens at the Grand Floridian. It happens at Caribbean Beach. Like anywhere you go, you are gonna face some kind of bus wait. But we had a great experience at Wilderness Lodge. You know, it's all about expectations and yeah, just knowing what to expect with transportation. Does Ellie go to sleep okay with you being in the same room? Where does she sleep? So of course, this answer is going to be different depending on what room type we have and where we're staying, but most of our trips, we are either in a standard Disney hotel room or a DVC studio. So, you know, it's very rare that we are in a 1-bedroom like our recent trip at Old Key West. A couple months ago, we were in a 1-bedroom, but other than that, we are in studios or a regular hotel room. So Ellie's really had to learn how to be okay with napping with us in the room, because that's kind of her only option for quiet time. And it was something that took practice. You know, it wasn't something that came easy when we transitioned her from a pack and play. And I think that was another question, so I can go ahead and talk about that here, was when we transitioned Ellie from a pack and play to a regular bed. I think she was about 2.5 when we moved her to a bed. She is very tall for her age, and so 2.5 was kind of the longest I could go with squeezing her into a pack and play before I felt like, okay, I can't force this anymore. She's just too tall for a pack and play. So 2.5 was when we had to retire the pack and play, which was sad because it worked out really nice. We would set up the pack and play in the bathroom, shut the door, and then we still had, the whole main room to ourselves, and we could have lights on, we could, watch TV really quietly or whatever. Now, I don't really have that option because she's not in a pack and play. But yeah, it was on that next trip. She was almost 3, and we moved her to a full size bed, and she did pretty good. I didn't know what to expect. I had to tell her multiple times, hey, lay down. It's, this is quiet time. Lay back down, for about 15 to 30 minutes of that. And eventually she fell asleep. So it just took a little bit of patience and a lot of practice on her end. I get the room as dark as I possibly can. I turn the sound machine on, and I try to make it as accommodating for her as possible so that she has the best chance to fall asleep. Some days she doesn't fall asleep at Disney, but we still have like quiet time. I still make her lay there, and maybe I might give her a book or something, but we don't have the TV on. There's anything like that. I really try to give her a break from being overstimulated. I try to keep that the focus more than her falling asleep. But she's gotten really good at falling asleep with me in the room. I've noticed that if I am up doing things like repacking the bag, folding clothes, like fidgeting around the room, she has a hard time going to sleep. But if I lay on the bed and I'm really still, then she's like, oh, mommy's resting. Like I can close my eyes too. So you kind of just have to figure out what works and what doesn't, it's so specific to every child, and you just kind of have to try it. And if day 1 doesn't go well, try something different on day 2, until you figure out, okay, this is what it takes for my child to actually fall asleep. But yes, her and I are in the same room when she naps, and that is just what we've had to do. How did E like the Christmas party? Very late, but was it fun for her? Yes, she loved the Christmas party. We came home from this trip, and that is all she talked about. She loved the party. So, and she just loves Christmas in general. Like she's just really excited for Christmas. So I think that element of it made it extra special as well. Like, I don't know if she would have been this excited about the Halloween party. She's not as into Halloween, but Christmas, this girl loves Christmas, so she had a blast. Any tips for taking a toddler to Disney World would be great, please. So I have an entire playlist of videos all about taking a toddler to Disney World. So I'll have that playlist linked down below, and you can just binge those videos, as well as all of my trip vlogs, going back, and you can search trips from 2 years ago when Ellie was almost 2 years old, and see the difference in how our trips looked back when she was, 22 months old. I vlogged her first trip when she was 10 months old, and you can kind of see how our trips have evolved since then, and how they look a little bit different now. But I will have that playlist linked below because I could go on and on about tips for taking a toddler to Disney World, but check out that playlist because it is packed full of lots of gold. What would a solo mom trip look like going to Disney but not the parks? I love this question. So obviously I would spend a lot of time at the resort. So I would do slow mornings in the room, maybe do a dining reservation at a resort, like some kind of character breakfast at Topolino's or something like that. And then hang out at the pool, do a full pool day, go back for a nap, and then enjoy everything at the resort. There's so many resort activities, you guys, like the campfire, you can do these s'mores, they have movies under the stars, you can go to different deluxe resorts, well, any resort, and they have all kinds of activities and games, and there's so much to do. So I would definitely take advantage of the resort activities. We love going over, even if we're not staying at the Polynesian or Grand Floridian, They have these glow party nights with like limbo and music playing, and there's like a disco ball, and they have a DJ, like a DJ. It's, you know, it's really, really cute. So those are some really fun things you can do. And then watch the fireworks from one of the monorail resorts, go hang out at the boardwalk, get ice cream. I mean, you really could spend days at Disney and have so much to do and not step foot into a park. So, and there's lots of playgrounds. Again, I mean, I could go on and on, but there's so much. Do you prefer the studios or the standard resort rooms? I really prefer staying in studios, at least right now in this stage with Ellie, because I really love having the kitchenette. I like having the actual refrigerator, a toaster, microwave, because if I want to do breakfast in the room, it just makes it more doable. And I know that if I have yogurt, cottage cheese, cheese sticks, like anything dairy that my daughter loves to snack on, that all of those items are perfectly safe in the refrigerator in a studio, as compared to a standard hotel room. You just have the beverage cooler, and you also don't have the kitchenette amenities like the toaster and the microwave. So we've done oatmeal, we'll do peanut butter toast, we do, you know, all kinds of normal breakfast foods that we do here at home. And I'm able to do those at Disney when we stay in a studio. So I do really like that. And, you know, typically on most of my trips, it's just me and Ellie. So the studios end up being the perfect amount of space for the two of us. And she is totally fine on a pull-out couch or the pull-down Murphy bed. Like, you know, she's 3, almost 4, so a pull-out couch, it doesn't really matter. Like, there's not an additional adult staying with us that we need a really comfortable second bed for them, because it's just me and my daughter. So I love the studios, and you know, the standard rooms are great if there's a specific resort that I really want to stay at and, you know, there's not a DVC option, but I love the studios. How is the food options at Wilderness Lodge for preschoolers? I think Wilderness Lodge has some of the best resort dining. I mean, this is such a great resort if you are really into food. So Geyser Point was our go-to, and they have cheese pizza, which was a huge win for my preschooler. So I love their kids menu there. And then Roaring Fork, there's Whispering Canyon, and the Storybook Dining at Artist Point. We didn't do either of the two sit-down restaurants. Ellie is just, she's not really eating like full kids meals, even though they have some great options, but she's just so picky. She won't eat normal kids foods like mac and cheese or chicken nuggets, or like, she won't eat those things. So pizza, and that's about it. And then she's just snacking. But if it's not pizza, she just won't eat it. But if your kid loves mac and cheese and, you know, hot dogs and chicken fingers, French fries, like normal kid food, then this is a great resort, and they have some fantastic options. Same for breakfast, like Mickey waffles, and, you know, so great for kids, great for little kids. And they have a lot of grab and go stuff like apple slices and grapes and Uncrustables and those little like yogurt smoothies. So they have lots of options, whether it's a meal or something grab and go, but we mostly did the pizza at Geyser Point for Ellie. What made you decide to go to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party instead of Jollywood Nights? So I did look into Jollywood, and when they first announced this party, I thought, oh, this would be so fun. This is brand new, something, you know, just new and different that I could document with a preschooler. But the more I looked into it and the more that they kind of released about the party, I just kind of decided, I was like, I just don't feel like this is geared towards little kids, and I don't know how much I would be able to do with Ellie, since a lot of it was geared around food and these lounges and cocktails and shows. I just didn't see my 3-year-old being interested in that, and she's such a picky eater. I was like, she's not going to eat anything at this party. You know, we wouldn't do any of the lounges or cocktails. Any of the shows, maybe, but other than that, I was like, live music, live entertainment, like that's not really 3-year-old friendly. I do know of families who brought little kids to Jollywood, and they had a great time and said their kids really enjoyed it and that they would do it again. But for us personally, I just knew the Christmas party, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, was gonna be way more kid friendly, and that was way more of a home run than a gamble like Jollywood kind of felt. So with the money that we were investing into party tickets, I wanted it to be a home run. I didn't want to invest that much money into tickets and it be a gamble. So that's why we picked the Christmas party, and I'm really, really glad we did. I think the more that I've seen from Jollywood, you know, I've seen great things, I've seen not so great things. You know, it looks like it's turning into a really fun and really great event after the second party night, but again, I still don't see it being something that Ellie would have enjoyed. So that is why we picked Mickey's Very Merry as compared to Jollywood. Solo mom tips. There is so much I could say to that. The first thing would be give yourself grace, because things are gonna move a lot slower. For instance, potty breaks. You don't have a second set of hands to help you navigate everything. So normally you would have another person wait with all of your things and the stroller and the backpack, and you would run into the restroom real quick and it would just be kind of bada boom, bada bing. But when you're by yourself, you have to figure out how to navigate everything on your own. And so it just looks a little bit different and can take a little bit more time. The second tip I would give is pack your patience and then double it because you already need patience when you take your child to Disney World, when it's your whole family. But when you're on your own, you need double the patience because again, you don't have a second person or other family members to kind of help manage those moments with you. There's no break. And I think that's probably the most challenging part of going solo with your child, is that there's no break other than that midday nap, which is why that is so crucial. So I cannot emphasize enough, take that midday break, because yes, while it's great for your child to have a break in the day and get that nap in, it's also your break too. So one thing I have found is that, you know, from the second we wake up until the moment we go to sleep at night, you are on. Like, you are in parent mode and you just have to be on. And so having that midday break is kind of the only time you have to turn it off for a little bit and just take a breather. So that is a huge reason that I think midday breaks, when I talk about midday breaks, like I talk about it a lot. And that's a huge reason why, is because when I go solo, that's the only window I have during our trip, is those, 1 to 2 hours in the afternoon while my daughter sleeps, is where I can just like actually close my eyes, or I can scroll on my phone or whatever, just sit in silence, whatever I want that time to be. That's the only time I have. So take that break. It's just as much for you as the parent when you're there solo. So those are kind of the main things I would say. There's so much more I could say to going solo, like the logistics of it, but I think those are the most important pieces of going solo with your toddler. Did you get Copper Creek as a confirmed reservation this time, or did you book way in advance? So I actually paid cash for my Copper Creek room, which was very painful because I know how much you can save with renting DVC points. I'm like the DVC rental girl. But because this was so last minute, there was no availability. So I ended up paying cash for this room. And, I'm so thankful that we were able to stay there. This really was the best resort choice for this trip and kind of the priorities we had for this trip. So I knew I wanted to be at Wilderness, and paying cash was my only option. So I did have my 35% off annual pass holder room discount, so that helped a ton. I definitely could have saved more if I had rented DVC points way in advance, but I didn't book this trip way in advance. I did book a room when we got our Christmas party tickets over the summer, and I actually booked at a moderate resort and decided to change just because of the Christmas party and location and all of that. And so by the time I wanted to change the resort, doing a DVC rental it wasn't an option. So unless by some miracle, some Copper Creek or Boulder Ridge DVC studio popped up as a confirmed reservation last minute, I totally would have snagged it, but it never did. So I paid cash for a room, and that's how we were able to add on the extra night as well, is that I just paid cash and they were able to keep us in the same room. So that is what we did for this trip. Been to Walt Disney World several times, but first time for Christmas. Is Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party worth it for a 3-year-old and 5-year-old? Absolutely. You know, if I haven't mentioned enough at this point, I think the Christmas party is so much geared towards little kids that you are going to have a fantastic time, and there is so much to do for that toddler preschool age. You know, if you haven't already checked out my Christmas party vlog, I'll have that linked down below as well. We just had a blast, and I think it's the ideal party for little kids. Do you risk getting a DVC rental with toddlers getting sick, or a book with Disney? So if it works out with our dates and availability and how far in advance we're able to book, then hands down, I will go the DVC rental route every time. And the reason it doesn't freak me out is because with DVC Rental Store, they do have a cancellation policy. So that brings me peace of mind knowing that if Ellie did get really sick and we had to cancel, or for whatever reason we had to cancel, they do offer a credit. So although it's not a refund, they do have a credit available for you. So I feel like if you do have to cancel, the goal would be to reschedule that trip so you could use that credit and put it towards rebooking the trip. So that's why I would still go the DVC rental route. You save so much money. And that's why it's so hard for me, you know, to not do DVC Rental Store. Now, the only reason I would ever pay cash is if there's nothing available, you know, I booked it super last minute, and paying cash is my only last resort, AKA this trip. But yes, hands down DVC Rental Store, and I'll have my affiliate link with them listed down below if you want to save 40 to 65% on deluxe Disney resorts. It's insane. I'm not even kidding. It's crazy. So definitely check it out, but let's move on. How do you travel with your stroller? Do you gate check? Yes, we do gate check the stroller. I do have a very compact stroller that would totally fit in the overhead bin on the plane, but because I usually pack carry-on only and I have my 3-year-old, gate checking the stroller is just kind of one less thing that I have to navigate getting onto the plane. I honestly can't imagine how I would do that. Like, you know, being able to keep up with my 3-year-old, I would be pushing my suitcase and my duffel bag, and I would have my stroller in the other hand and trying to put all of that in the overhead bin. You know, I'm sure it's possible. I just find it to be easier to gate check the stroller. So that is what we do. All right, I still have a bunch of questions, but my camera's about to die, so I'm gonna call it here. If you have stuck with me this far, I would love for you to subscribe and stick around for more Disney content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. It really does help support my channel. So thank you guys again, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.